You're listening to Audacity, the Authentic Entrepreneur, a podcast for women who've built external success, yet feel something inside them is missing. I'm Claire Ackers, your alchemist guide, here to help you reclaim your fire, realign with your soul, and lead your business from power and truth. This season is all about elemental alchemy, how to reconnect with your core, rewrite your identity, and step into a life and business that feels luminous. Let's begin. So today I am delighted to be sitting down with Juliet Ralph, who is co-founder and director at Robinson Ralph Limited. Juliet, thanks for coming on. Could you just get straight into it and tell us a little bit about your story and how you got to be where you are today, if you would?
No problem. So, yeah, I run an employment law firm with my husband. We started back in 2018, and it was very much a decision that we made together to go into this. Various things had transpired. So I'm not a lawyer, which is the focal point of many a conversation we've had together. My husband is a lawyer, and he's a very good lawyer, but he's also a very funny person, a very empathetic person. He's a little bit sweary at times, and he just didn't fit the mold of traditional law firms. So he'd been in those firms for many, many, many years. It was making him miserable, and various things had transpired, and we were at a bit of a crossroads, or he was at a bit of a crossroads with his career, and it was kind of crunch time, really. We just had to decide whether he just carries on down that route, carries on being miserable, or we back ourselves and we just do it together. So we decided on the second option, and a few months later we were sat together in a two-person office looking at each other like, right, okay, we've done this. But I think for me, I had the utmost confidence that the clients that he had loved him, because he's just, he's great with them. I knew they'd follow. I knew that my side of it would be a bit tricky. I didn't particularly know what I was going to be letting myself in for, but I just had a feeling that it was the right way to go. So, yeah, so we started off, me and Robbie, and now we've got 5 lawyers on the team, and we've got another one starting in June. So, yeah, it's going from strength to strength. So it's really exciting.
Amazing. I was just going to say, so that was sort of 7 years ago. So your kids will have been um, pretty small then.
Yeah.
Um, and now there's what, seven of you in the business as it currently stands in start of April
Yeah.
2025, which is the thing really, to be, need to look at the odds, don't you, for how many businesses fail in the first 5 years.
Yeah.
So, amazing that you guys have managed to build this thing together. What are you really proud of?
I'm really proud that we have built something that actually reflects us, because and it was a bit of a risk, to be honest, because law's seen as such a serious profession, and my husband's not serious. He's fun with his clients, and he's very loud and just very gregarious. So I think for us it was really important that we built something, because there's no point recreating what he'd just come from.
Yeah.
So we've really stuck. So we know our values inside out. Everyone that works with us knows them, and we stick to them. And I think that has just been key for us. And because we always say, you know, we're not corporate, but we're very professional, and they're two very different things. So
Yeah.
I'm really pleased that we've stuck to that, and I'm sure there are law firms out there that look at us and think, what are they doing? But it works for us, and the clients that we have, and I suppose we are a bit Marmite. Not everyone's going to go for us, but I think the people that do really appreciate the way that they're dealt with, and that we just are, I think, fun to actually deal with. It's not, you know, employment law isn't the most fun thing in the world, but that doesn't mean that the conversations you have with your employment lawyer have to be dry and, you know, just run of the mill. So I think, yeah, I'm proud that we stuck to that and we didn't bow to the pressure, because it was, you know, it's not always been straightforward, and, you know, trying to win clients and trying to convince people that they should come to us rather than one of the big names is quite difficult. So yeah, I'm really proud of that.
You and I have had many conversations about the Courage to be Marmite. You know, my feelings on the topic that you do not need to appeal to everybody. It's just the 1% of the population, that micro tribe, your raving fans, the people who get you, love to work with you, love to pay you, all that stuff. It's when business becomes so much more satisfying and fun, isn't it? So I know how proud you are that you've held to that, and when things haven't gone your way, you've come back to the values and all those things. So that is, it's one of the reasons why I love working with you. Um it's that commitment to being values led and being here to make a difference. It's just a nicer way to do things. It's a total win-win. You alluded to something a moment ago, which I want to circle back to, which is that you are not a lawyer. And hopefully, you don't mind me mentioning this, but there's been a bit of love-hate relationship with that statement, right? Hasn't there? You've had a bit of an evolution of, oh my gosh, I'm not a lawyer. What will people
Yeah.
think of me? Into almost a full circle moment of, I am not a lawyer. Check me out. Can you talk a little bit about that if you would?
Yeah, 100%. So that was very much the story I was telling myself was, and I would almost go into a meeting apologetically, like I'm not a lawyer. And and Robbie would say, what, you know, why are you always leading with that? But I always felt like it was something I needed to get out there, that I'm not a lawyer. But
Yes, we'll see.
yeah, and but it's so now I look at it, and you know, and all the conversations we've had together, and actually like that's what makes me different. That's, you know, that's part of the story, that look, I've helped to build this, and I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah.
And I, you know, I didn't particularly know everything I was doing when we started, and it was all new to me. But that makes me actually even more proud that, you know, we've nailed it, and that wasn't an issue. And we've spoken before. I mean, I've had a lot of different jobs in the past, and it was almost like unknowingly I was going through this checklist of things that I would need for this role now. So you know, I was doing marketing, I did a bit of event management, I did sales, I did training. So all those have actually helped in the long run to get me to this point, and all those different skills and stuff I could bring in. So it's, yeah, it's been a bit of a process. And I think I was very conscious at the beginning that because I wasn't a lawyer, people, well, it's the, yeah, the old imposter saying, well, what's she doing? What does she think she's doing running a law firm? How does she think she can? And I suppose because as well, being the director, I then had you know, a team of lawyers who were working for us. So I think very much that was playing on my conscience as well. That, you know, will they be thinking, oh, she can't, you know, she can't give me instructions. What does she know? But it was all in my
Yeah,
head.
yeah, totally. And that's when you and I started working together. And I'm not going to share those bits of our story, but it's like momentum is building, right? Isn't it? It's like you have turned the old imposter voice into your superpower, and it's getting more and more exciting, isn't it? In terms of your role, your ambitions, your self-belief, and your mission, if we can call it so, of what you were here to do and the value that you can add to the world. Before we talk about your particular role and what you're up to at the moment, I just want to touch upon a subject that we both have particular opinions on, which is working with your husband. What it
Hmm.
is, because it's a very particular set of skills, right? Isn't it? To be able to do that successfully, especially when you throw some young kids into the mix. You've got two, I've got three. It's unique, right? What's the what's the best bits and the worst bits about working with your other half?
Hmm. it's funny. It's a question I get asked a lot about working with my husband, and usually followed up by the "I could never do that." But I think for us, it's just the way it is, and I think at the time it didn't even cross my mind that it was a thing. So I suppose the the good bits, I think we complement each other really well. Obviously, we both are very passionate about the business, so we can put our all into it. And maybe from a negative side, that does mean we do talk about work a lot more than we would otherwise if we were in
Yeah,
two
those
separate.
boundaries can get blurred, can't they?
Yeah, so it can be hard to step away from, but I feel like Robinson Ralph is actually a part of us as much as, we've got two kids, two dogs, and we've got the business. It's just part of who we are now. So yeah, I think just because I'm so proud of it, and I think because we have grown it together, it's so nice to look at, months like we've had the best month we've ever had in March, and
Congratulations.
it's just to be able to celebrate that together is so nice.
Yeah, yeah. And I know it wasn't necessarily intentionally that you set off on this path together, but I do think certainly in our circumstances with my husband, there does need to be that intentionality behind it. As you enter a new phase, a new chapter, it's sitting down and going, right, is this still working for us? Is this our shared vision? How can we make this better? What's not working? Otherwise, the wheels can start to fall off as you grow. But when you get it right, my gosh, for me, it's the ultimate expression of having it all, of
Mm.
being able to go, right, this is all for us and our family. And oh my gosh, like look what we can do when we pool our resources. It's pretty soul stirring stuff actually to go, I did that. We
Yeah,
did that together. It's incredible, really.
yeah, it's a nice
Um,
feeling. Yeah.
how do you feel about talking about the next chapter before I go into a specific question on that? Do you want to shy away from it at the moment, or do you want to allude to it, or
I'd certainly allude to it. Yeah, I think, yeah, I
can we
can talk
talk about it
about,
maybe in terms of mission?
yeah, I think in terms of, yeah, I think the idea, what I want to do, like working with female solicitors, I think certainly I can talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I am being quite careful with my words here, Juliet, because obviously you and I are working one to one together. So I'm keeping what happens in the coaching space private. However, I know there's something that you are excited to talk about, excited to share. What can you tell us about what the next chapter looks like for you?
So for the next chapter, I feel like having done and built this business and speaking to a lot of other women that are in the same industry, there seems to be, and this obviously I can only base this on the people that I've spoken to, having not worked in the law firm myself, but there seems to be the view that certainly the more traditional law firms are very old school, very masculine, like very masculine energy. It's all very competitive. Whoever bills the most hours is the best at their job, all those kind of vibes. And
Mhm.
I think, it doesn't work for a lot of people, and certainly for the women I've spoken to who, they do need some flexibility. They do need some recognition of what goes on in their personal life. And I think they're being maybe overlooked for promotions. And also, I think that they probably are quite miserable. So they're making all this money for someone else in a place that they don't want to be. And that frustration must just be awful. So I feel like my example of not being a lawyer and I've managed to do this, you are a lawyer, you know your clients, you've got your clients, you could do this, you could build a business that reflects you and lets you work in the way that you want to. So I just I feel like there's so many women out there that would benefit from just being able to see, like, oh, hang on a minute, I could have a bit of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so to be able to help them, just point them in the right direction and just help them hold their hand and show them that, yeah, it's not that difficult to, as long as your business, you know what you want to do, you're ready to back yourself, then yeah, why not?
Yeah. This missions for you. I've coached a lot of senior lawyers, senior partners, and totally agree. These women are doing really, really well for themselves. However, it's almost like they're out of alignment. There's a disconnect between the way that they are working and what they could really do if they felt they could spread their wings and be themselves in the workplace. So I'm kind of coming at it from a coaching authenticity perspective, which is my bag. Whereas what you are able to do right now is be the role model and say, look what you can achieve when you put your heart and soul into it, when you really believe that you've got something special to offer. And like you mentioned before, you have got a particular set of skills. You didn't know it at the time, but all the different roles you were doing adding up and to put you into this perfect place. And so there's something exciting coming, isn't there? There's something that you can add real credibility to, real passion to, and be the trailblazer of it is possible for you. And just as an aside, I'm so excited the stuff we are working on because it is trailblazing, isn't it? You're putting your money where your mouth is with this stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and it's so exciting. And I think sometimes when you think of an idea and it feels like a bit of a no-brainer to you, it's like, well, obviously it's the right thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So watch this space. We'll maybe circle back to this conversation in 6 months' time and see how things have evolved. That'd be really exciting to get the next little chapter for you. Um, let's change tack slightly. So, what advice would you give somebody, a woman, if we're honest, who is just starting out on their entrepreneurial journey? Maybe they've got the same niggle that thinks, hang on, I could do this for myself. What advice do you wish you'd had right at the start?
I think a lot of the work that we've done together, so really going back to the basics of knowing your values and really just getting to the bottom of that before starting anything else, I think it is really helpful. And it would have been good to have done that back at the beginning, but doesn't matter. I've done it now. And actually I am aligned with them, and what we're doing does work. So I was really pleased with that. But I think, yeah, doing that exercise and really getting to know from the start who you are, what's important to you, and then building up from there, I think would be key.
Mm,
Because the bit I think and we've already spoken about this, but the business needs to reflect who you are. Otherwise, what's the point?
yeah,
And I think to be happy to be yourself as well. I think from at the beginning, because I wasn't particularly confident in what I was doing, but I wouldn't have I didn't ask for help. Whereas I think if I'd just been a bit more accepting of, no, you don't need to know everything, but put yourself out there, find mentors, connect with people that are doing what you're doing and ask them questions, and just don't be afraid to go out there. You don't have to know everything you're doing. Just open yourself up to learning from other people.
I think that's such an important point, and I see this in early stage female entrepreneurs all the time. It's almost like they've reached the top of their industry, and there's this ego getting in the way, this pride. It's a bit scared to go almost, you know what, I'm an amazing lawyer, but I haven't first clue how to run payroll, for example. Um, and having that support in your corner right from day one it doesn't need to be hard. You don't need to prove anything. And it's
Exactly.
okay to get the right support to enable the journey to be fun. So I think that's really important advice that probably resonate with a lot of people. Um, Final question. What is a book or a podcast that you can't live without? It's one of my, I love to learn. Everybody who listens to this loves to learn as well. And I'm a bit of a podcast junkie. We've spoken a lot about books before. What's a book or a podcast that you can't live without?
I've got this book. So I came across this book when I was doing one of my weird jobs. I was working in Sydney, sat in a showroom in these brand new apartments, and people were coming to look around them. And one of the props in this room was this book, and it's called The Advanced Guide to the Soul, which sounds a bit fancy, but it's actually really good. All it is a collection of inspirational quotes. And so the idea is that if you've got a problem in your head, you hold the problem in your mind, and you open the book to a page, and it's supposed to give you the answer, or it tells you off, or gives you a hug, or whatever. But so I think essentially it's just it lets you read this quote, and it just kind of reframes it in your head. So I got it here. Yeah, it's is. I'm on my third copy because I keep losing them. I think it's from the 80s. It's by Susan Hayward. It's proper old school, but right. I've just opened and it says, "Do the thing, and you will have the power."
Nice.
Stuff like that, but I love it. So I always have, if I lose it, I have to buy it again. Usually off of like secondhand on Amazon because it's probably not made anymore. But yeah, so a guide for the advanced soul.
Do you know, I love the fact that you picked that one. That resonates so much. Um, so we haven't spoken about this before, so this is news for everybody listening as well. But one of the things we do, so Juliet's coming on my retreat in October, right, aren't you? Which I'm very excited about. We're going to Anglesey. We've got a gorgeous group of women, and we're going to have a proper wild adventure. But one of the things we do on retreat is that exercise. There's a couple of books that I always bring along with me, and people at an opportune moment hand it out and say, right, just open the book and see where it lands. Often we use, do you know Donna Ashworth? She's got the
Yeah,
book Growing
I think I follow
Brave.
her on Instagram. I think I might.
Yeah. And we do exactly that. And it always falls open to the perfect place. And we all end up in tears and have a big hug. But I love the fact that you brought that one because we've never spoken about it. Like what conversations we've had, and we've never touched on that topic before. So that's just perfect, isn't it? And on your recommendation, I'm deep into Agatha Christie as well. So that's a bonus
Yeah,
recommendation there. It starts with Miss Marple.
yeah, love a Miss Marple.
Amazing. Is there anything else that you would like to cover while we're talking? It feels like there's a million different things we need to talk about, but maybe we'll save those for off air as opposed to the podcast.
Yeah, I think it's just, I think for me, like the best thing about what I do, and same for you, what you do, is just that not feeling trapped, not being controlled by someone else. Just that I just remember the first day after I finished uni, start going into a job. I'd got like a telemarketing job in Manchester, I think. And just sitting on the bus and thinking, is this it? Is this it for the
Running
rest of
gigs.
my life? Like someone owns my ass for 9 till 5 every day of the week. And I think that's where it kind of started in my head. So just that, yeah, having that freedom, that flexibility, it's the best.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm 10 years into my entrepreneurial journey and I will thoroughly drink to that. It's not easy. It's absolutely not easy. I think it would be disingenuous to sit here and say it's all plain sailing, but
Mhm.
it is worth it. Just being in control of your destiny like that and having the freedom, like you say, it's it's heady stuff, definitely. Juliet, thank you so much for being here. We'll get you back on in a few months' time and see how the mission is evolving. And yeah, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me for Audacity, the authentic entrepreneur. If this episode stirred something inside you, share it, tag me, let me know what you're feeling. If you're ready to alchemize your blocks, reclaim your brilliance, and step boldly forward, head to claireackers.com. Until next time, stay aligned, stay wild, and keep being audacious.